This is DRF, Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Tuesday, August the 31st. Race number 10 at Colonial Downs. Let's throw up the field for the meets featured race. It is the Grade 3 $250,000 Virginia Derby. We're going 1.1 miles on the turf for 3-year-olds, and you can download free Formulator Pass performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Access them, handicap along with us. Mike, it's nice to see a big full field for this race, and these horses are fairly evenly matched. The morning line favorite is a very tepid 7-2. That's the 7 experienced who lacks experience. He's only raced twice.
Yeah, I mean, there are several horses in here who are kind of like him. That I think more than anything else, that's what makes the race interesting, at least from my perspective. It just feels like there are more than a few in here who could, really improve at some point, and maybe they'll do it in this race.
Interesting time form U.S. pace projector, and I'm interested in your take. No speed? I realize there are not a ton of blazers in this race, but I have a feeling they're going to go a little bit faster than Glacial, which is what the gray bar of no speed for time form U.S. indicates.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that, too, especially when you have such a big field like this with some lightly raced horses in here. Maybe they won't go flying up there, Dan, but I don't think they're going to walk either.
A horse that recently went gate to wire is down towards the inside, the number 1 Search for Truth. This is a son of Breeders' Cup Mile winner Tourist going out for Michael Dickinson. He was very green, I thought, in his debut over soft going at Delaware. Picked up some pieces to run second behind a useful horse. And that was a powerful maiden winner against likely a weak group last time at Colonial.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. His debut was fine to me. Sat last behind a front-running winner. He wasn't, necessarily all in through the stretch. He was never catching that horse. But I thought he did well just to be second in there. He obviously took a big step forward last time. He seems like a pretty nice-looking kind of horse, has a nice way of going, comes off of a very big win. I won't be surprised when he improves again in here.
Like the improved speed he showed second time out, and the horse that he was battling with early ended up fading very badly to finish last, and this horse was easily ridden out. He could be any kind. He's also 8-1 in the morning line, and I have a feeling he'll take a little bit more money than that. The 2 is Indian Lake. Let's watch Indian Lake's most recent run, going 1.5 miles in the Bald Eagle Derby, and Ruben Silvera gave him a brilliant ride. He was able to back down this pace to 1:17.2 for 3/4 mile, and after that, no one had a chance, including Experienced, who I thought ran very well with an outside run to be second. Wooten Asset was probably compromised by the lack of pace as well. Indian Lake had the best of it in this race. He's a very useful horse, Mike, 16 of 17 on the board, but boy, Trip might have made all the difference in that spot.
It definitely did. He stole that race on the front end, walking on the lead with nobody pressuring him. The flip side of that, Dan, I guess, is 2 starts back. He probably would have won that day, too, if he had gotten any kind of a trip, but he got into a lot of trouble in that race. Last time they decided, let's avoid all that. We'll put him on the front. He ran, pretty well in that race, but as you've already pointed out, he probably got a little lucky to win.
He's been good on dirt. He's been good on turf. Jamie Ness had him entered in the Smarty Jones last week. He wants to run him in the Virginia Derby on the turf. He handles anything and has tactical speed. I have the Cat as the number 3. This horse scored a maiden victory over the Synthetic in an off-turf race last time out. He ran okay. The 4th place horse came back to win a maiden special on the turf, but only with a 65 buyer. He's run figs on turf 2 and 3 back. They're okay, but he's going to have to improve a little bit.
I guess so. I mean, listen, he's a maiden on the grass, but his figures fit basically right in with these horses. I thought his 2 turf races were fine. He didn't win either one of them. I thought he ran fine in both of those races, Dan. He's going to be a price in here.
Another horse that I think is adaptable to any kind of pace scenario is up next. The lightly raced number 4, Slicked Back. 2 of 3 in his career. He won his turf debut last time out by staying close to the pace. Now he's going to step up in class, but he's very well handled, obviously. Trained by Brad Cox. He earned a decent figure in that maiden win, and this horse might actually get lost in the shuffle in the wagering.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what kind of price he is before I try to knock him too much, Dan. I don't really want to do that if he's going to be a big price. I know he got an 80 last time. I'll, take a wait and see approach with this horse. I feel like he might have beaten a pretty bad field last time. And I know that the horse he ran down in the stretch there, the horse that wound up finishing second, was a 3-2 favorite. But that horse had just been clean for 30,000. He doesn't seem like much horse to me. And this horse actually worked really hard to get by him in the stretch.
If you believe the Timeform US pace projector is correct, you're probably going to land on the 5. It Can Be Done, who projects to be the controlling speed. Let's watch the last race, the Tail of the Cat at Monmouth. This horse had to go fast early. It was not only a fast pace, it was a contested pace. He emerges with a clear lead in the stretch, and he ends up running second to the Even Money Shot Founder. This is a good performance, and if you think he gets an easy trip on the lead, he's gone gate to wire on the grass in the past.
Yeah, I think this horse is a little underrated. I do think he probably has to take another step forward to win here. But if he gets the right trip, I don't see why he can't do that. And as you point out, that race that we just watched, it was pretty contested up there. His prior turf route back at Gulfstream in March, he got sort of hooked up on the lead that day as well. If he can get a little bit more comfortable this time, he's a big threat in here.
Graham Motion, the trainer of the 6 Wooten Asset, likely to be hoping for some sort of pace this time around. This horse has raced twice this year. He caught soft going in the Kent, and it was a race where off the layoff, not a fast pace. He kind of trudged on for third. And then in the Bald Eagle Derby, again, he tried to get into it with a mid-move, but the pace was so slow, they sprinted away from him again. I think he's a little bit underrated, but where's his race?
Yeah, that was my big concern as well. I do think there are ways to sort of make excuses for him. I'm still wondering how good he actually is, Dan. And, just based on the Bald Eagle Derby, and I don't want to take anything away from this horse, I'd rather have Experience, who was, further away from that pace and easily outfinished this horse.
I agree, and we'll talk about Experience next for trainer Jonathan Thomas. This was a good-looking debut winner. They knew he was bet down to favoritism in a big field. He beat 4 next out winners, and he only seemed to be running in spots in that race. He showed a lot of promise. I was a bit surprised he was so far back last time out in the Bald Eagle, but you saw him charging hard. He tried really well. This horse has a lot of potential.
Yeah, that's how I feel about him too. I mean, to me, he's clearly the horse you want out of that last race. Of the 3 returning in this spot, I would just much prefer this horse to the other 2. I thought his debut was really good, as you've already pointed out. It was a pretty live race. He beat a couple of horses who have not only come back to win once, they've come back to win twice. I mean, I think he beat a really good field first time out.
And like Wooten Asset, he's going to hope for a little bit of pace, as well as the 8, Hard Rye Guy, who comes up from Ellis Park for trainer Ian Wilkes. Now let's watch the most recent start. This is only a non-winners of 2 life at Ellis. Let's watch Hard Rye Guy. He is in behind horses here at about the 3/16 pole, and Brian Hernandez Jr. is looking for some sort of hole. He's trying to alter course to the outside. He eventually does, and he finishes well to be third in a race where the runner-up would come back to run second on dirt in the Ellis Derby with an 85 buyer. I thought all things considered he ran well here, but there are some pace and class concerns.
Yeah, there are. He's going to really need a trip in here. I think his turf form overall is fine. I don't love any of his turf races necessarily. Dan, that race we just watched, I mean, maybe it was just the fact that he was in against a good field. And I know that I guess he was a little late to get clear, maybe just past the 8th pole. He didn't really accelerate late in that race. That concerns me about him.
The number 9 is 007, who tried turf for the first time in the Kent. And again, he caught a really soft turf course, a race with not a lot of pace. I thought all in all, it was an okay performance. I don't think we really learned a lot about this horse over soft ground. Now, he was listed as a vet scratch at Pimlico on August the 8th. He's worked once since then, according to our early PPs 17 days ago.
Yeah, I don't know. If he's going to be a big price, I guess I could, have no problem with anybody who wants to use him. I don't think he necessarily had a fair chance in the Kent last time. So I didn't want to be too hard on him for that turf debut. On dirt, I can't say I was a huge fan of his. He was a very game horse, though. I always wanted to give him credit for that kind of stuff. And I do think he could be close to the pace in here if they don't go fast.
Shady McGee not only has speed figures that make him competitive with this, a couple of buyers in the 80s, but he's run against some good fields in entry-level optional claimers at Saratoga. He was in against Sifting Sands 2 starts back. That horse won a stakes race at Saratoga on Sunday. Last time out, outside post, wide trip, kind of an even performance. This horse is okay for the Dangerous Maker barn. 15-1 seems like a fair price.
Yeah, I agree. I'll use this horse. I don't know if this is necessarily the right spot for him. Those were 2 pretty tough fields he just ran in at Saratoga, though. And it's not like he embarrassed himself. I don't think he had necessarily excuses either time, but he ran fine in those races. I thought his Mystic Lake Derby prior to that was okay, too. He only finished 7th, but he came really wide in that race and was racing on down to the end. The race when Maker dropped him in for 2 life, I thought it was, maybe a little bit of a premature drop, but he ran great that day.
Draft Capital, the number 11, has won 4 consecutive races. He deserves a shot in this field. The issue is this. He won his maiden for 12.5. He won his first start against winners for 12.5, and he's been winning his last 2 against $75,000 optional claimers. This is a huge step up in class. He's good on turf. He won an off-turf race last time out in a race which set up for closers.
It did. He definitely had a nice trip last time. He also won clear at the end. I don't know if he's going to be 15-1, Dan. If he is, I'm not going to argue with this horse. I know he started out cheaply. His last 4 races are good, and he's got figures.
And remember, he once sold for $450,000 as a yearling. He's got some pedigree. Maybe he's just coming into his own, and his figures do make him competitive. The 12 is hidden enemy. This horse ran in some big races on the turf earlier this year. He had no shot in the Belmont Derby. The American Turf 4 starts back, outside post as he is here, and had to fall back early, got some pace, and came running late. I'm just not sure the pace situation is there for him.
Yeah, that's a big concern with this horse. We'll see. Again, I don't think they're going to go as slow as the pace projector thinks they will, but this horse still needs a little bit of help. He's exiting the same race as Shady McGee is up at Saratoga. They ran comparable races there, Dan, but this horse is probably going to be a much shorter price than that one. And, I don't know. He's had his chances against some better horses already. I'd rather move on to somebody else here.
Let's take a look at our top picks for Tuesday's race of the day, the Grade 3 Virginia Derby. Experienced is the horse with the upside potential, the number 7, likely pace compromised in the Bald Eagle Derby, a very promising maiden winner in his debut, and the horse has a lovely, lovely pedigree.
Yeah, there's just a lot to like about this horse. I took him on top. I like your horse too, Dan, the horse down on the rail, especially if the morning line holds. I didn't think he'd be that big a price. If he is, I would certainly like to use that horse, but I think Experience might be pretty good.
I'm hoping that Joe Rocco can maybe send Search for Truth out of there, and if someone else wants to go, he can settle into the pocket, and if no one else wants to go, he can take the bull by the horns. He is as lightly raced as Experienced and has similar upside. 111, 410 for me, 7, 110, 5 for Mike, a really good edition of the Grade 3 Virginia Derby. Good luck.